Welcome to your course tour of the Language of Composition 3rd edition. Thank you for selecting this book to use in your classroom. The Language of Composition was created from the ground up for the AP Language and Composition course by authors who know this course. Our hope is to partner with you to provide the tools you need to students' rhetorical analysis and composition skills and to increase AP test scores and success in college and beyond. The goal of today's session is to prepare you for using your new Language of Composition textbook in your AP Language classroom. We will do an in-depth review of the textbook and its resources, and make sure you have a full understanding of the program. Before we get started, let's review the materials you have received with your order. If you have ordered at least one classroom set, you should have received a teacher's edition, an ExamView test bank, and the teacher's resource flash drive. It is possible that you received a URL and password to download the flash drive materials digitally versus receiving an actual flash drive. Please note that some components, such as ebooks and Launchpad, are not automatically added to your adoption. These components require additional purchases. If there is anything you have not received, please contact your local sales representative. We also offer every teacher access to our Classroom Compass site. This site provides an opportunity for additional training and information. At BFW, we love to hear all about the different ways you use our resources in your classroom. Please log into our site at classroomcompass.bfwpub.com and join our discussion boards to share ideas, strategies, and tips with your colleagues and textbook authors. AP Language is a skills-based course. That is, your students will be tested on their ability to read and write. The exam is comprised of 3 free response essays. The 3 essay questions the students must answer are synthesis, rhetorical analysis, and argument. The goals of the AP Language course can be found in the course exam description guide provided by the College Board. Be sure to review all of the goals and learning objectives before you start to plan your course, and revisit them periodically throughout the school year to be sure your students are on track. Let's begin with the Teacher's Edition. In the preface's beginning pages, turn to page TE5. The authors of the Teacher's Edition are all experienced AP teachers, and they have shared ideas, tips, and tools that have proven successful for them through the years. Pages TE7 through 14 provide more in-depth coverage on how to successfully use the Teacher's Edition. Some of those ideas will be included in today's training. The goal of Language of Composition is to provide you with enough material that you can create an engaging year-long course for interests, abilities, and preparation levels from year to year. We do not recommend that you try to read all of the readings found in the book, but we try to encourage flexibility and allow you the freedom to customize your course from year to year. Using your Teacher's Edition, let's take some time to go through the table of contents. Turn to page 21 or XXI in the preface section. Highlight the pieces you think you want to teach or are required curriculum components. As you review the table of contents, what do you notice about the textbook organization? How will teaching with themes guide your lesson planning? What topics do you think your students would find most interesting and engaging? Let's pause the video for a few minutes to review the table of contents. Turn to page 2125, XXI through XXV in the preface. The first 4 chapters of the text are designed to introduce your students to the principles and language of rhetoric and argument that are essential to AP success. We recommend that you teach chapters 1 through 4 in sequential order over a month's time to really give your students solid reading and writing skills. Each chapter provides you with the opportunity to differentiate and scaffold student skills. If you are following the new units from the College Board, you may cut the textbook up differently. To see some alternative ways to teach, visit our College Board updates page here at go.bfwpub.com/AP-course-updates.html. Chapter 1 teaches students to analyze and use rhetorical strategies. including the rhetorical triangle, classical appeals, and visual rhetoric. Read a few of the different types of activities. Which ones do you think will be most popular with your students? I know gap years are becoming common alternatives to students. Turn to page 34. The culminating activity asks students to examine a letter from Helen Keller to Mark Twain. This activity can be used as a model for other topics as well. Many teachers focus on Chapter 1 throughout the first marking period of their school year, but you can adjust based on your student skill levels. Now turn a couple pages to 38, Chapter 2. This chapter guides students in analyzing diction and syntax with an emphasis on the rhetorical effects. This chapter also walks students through a close analysis essay, a skill they should have for the exam. The activity for this topic provides a close analysis essay for your students to annotate and analyze to help them get started. Turn to page 69, the culminating activity. This is Hillary Clinton's 2016 concession speech. Using this activity, students are using analysis and rhetorical strategies. Now let's look at Chapter 3, beginning on page 74. This chapter teaches students to analyze the structure and techniques of argument, and then teaches them to construct their own argument. There are also more activities. On page 78, this activity asks students to evaluate arguable statements. The culminating activity requires students to craft an essay building on the skills they've learned up to this point. Many teachers do not start Chapter 3 until January, but again, this is dependent upon your students. One of the required free response essays is the synthesis essay, and perhaps one of the most difficult to learn. Because this is an essential skill, we've included Chapter 4, the synthesis chapter. Turn to page 138. If you have used a previous edition of this textbook in the past, this chapter will be new for you. This chapter leads students through the process of writing the kind of synthesis essay found on the AP exam. Students are asked to analyze how writers use sources. This book will then model the process of integrating sources to support its own viewpoint. On page 167, the culminating activity allows students to demonstrate the full range of their synthesis and argumentative skills. Now that we've discussed the opening chapters, let's examine a sample thematic chapter to explain how the remaining chapters, 5 through 12, are structured. The thematic focus of each chapter encourages students to explore the complexities of a single issue and synthesize different viewpoints. For our example today, let's examine Chapter 9, Sports. Flip through the pages and make note of the different helps in the margin. These include close readings, videos, teaching ideas, and check for understanding. Pause your video now to flip through Chapter 9. Turn to the planning pages or red pages on 9A, 9F. Turn to page 647 and flip back just a few pages. Every chapter includes these pages at the start. These chapters are very important as they will help guide you through the unit planning process. The classic essay in each chapter is a canonical work written between the 18th century and early 20th century, and the central essay is a rich rhetorical and stylistic model. Each piece gives instructional tips on teaching each of these pieces. The other voices section are nonfiction pieces on controversial topics that will hopefully spark great classroom discussion. Please note as you prepare your lessons that the level of difficulty for each piece is included to allow for differentiation amongst your students. Conversation sections give students practice analyzing multiple related texts and then constructing a response that synthesizes these sources, preparing students for the AP synthesis question. Page 9D is the recommended chapter pathway for each chapter. Each section provides a purpose, a task, and a recommendation on how many class periods to complete. Take a few minutes and begin creating a unit lesson. Review the purposes and tasks. which ones achieve your curriculum objectives. So select a purpose and task, and then based on the goal of your chosen task, select up to 3 margin helps you can incorporate in teaching a lesson. Pause your video now. Let's focus on grammar as a rhetorical style. Turn to page 1145 in your teacher's edition. Grammar lessons and activities have been moved to the appendix section. We still provide handouts and teaching tips within the section. Turn to page 1203. Students have access to full-length AP exams that you may or may not include into your planning. The thematic chapters can be used in various ways. There is no right way to do it. Some teachers weave the opening chapters through the thematic chapter. Some teachers divide a group project for each student to apply skills from the introductory chapter to the thematic chapter of their choosing. And other teachers focus on the opening chapters and weave readings from the thematic chapters through them. The textbook has enough flexibility to fit your teaching style. Let's quickly review your teacher resources before we finish our time together. In addition to your teacher's edition, your most valuable resource is your teacher resource flash drive. It is possible that your local sales representative sent you a URL and password to digitally download these files instead of actually receiving a flash drive. The drive contains suggested responses to questions, classroom strategies and how-tos, vocabulary support, key passages for annotations, answer keys to assessments, quizzes, student writing workshops, podcasts, student-facing videos, grammar as rhetoric and style worksheets. Anytime your teacher's edition references and materials found on the flash drive, it will use the title TRM or Teacher Resource Materials. The test bank is modeled after the multiple choice portion of the AP exam, which includes 200 multiple choice question sets comprised of more than 1,600 questions that test student skills in close reading and analyzing nonfiction passages. We will update the test bank to reflect the new question types anytime the College Board revises the exam. Those new items will be found on our exam box site, which your sales representative can provide to you. The platform allows for full customization of all your quizzes and tests. You can create and format a test within minutes with the ability to enter your own questions, edit existing questions, set time limits, and incorporate multiple and print several versions of a test. This concludes your tour of the Language of Composition 3rd edition. We hope you have enjoyed your time and are well on your way to preparing a successful year-long AP Language curriculum. If you have any questions about resource materials, please contact your local sales representative. If you have questions about any material presented in this course, please contact highschoolpd@bfwpub.com. Thank you.